Paul,
There he is. How's it going, dude?
what's going on?
Here, let me sort this view out. There we go. Yeah, so man, you've been working out. You've got your Under Armour stuff on.
Far from it, it's just comfortable.
You're looking more and more like The Rock every time I see you. So that's why I asked.
So? Okay. I like that. I feel like I need a cool background like you.
Well, dude, I actually had to shrink myself, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, to get this behind me. Like I'm currently in the garden right now. This is what happens when you're a mad scientist.
I need something cool. I'll tell you what, we've been doing pranks at work because you can take a screenshot of like yourself and then you can walk away and it looks like you're still there, just like a little bit frozen. So I keep pulling on coworkers and I keep like walking away and like just seeing them like awkwardly try to feel like is it frozen? Is he there? What's he doing? Why is he not speaking? Why does he look so mad? Because I'm just like stone faced when I took the screenshot. So it looks like I'm pissed off. Yeah.
That's a really cool idea.
It's pretty funny.
There was I saw a video of a guy who took a photograph of his like the back of where you are there, like the back of his room.
Yeah.
And so he printed it out and he made up this rig and he had his laptop like here and he had the thing printed out behind him. And he was just out in the pub with his mates and people were calling him up from work. And so it looked like he's still at home where he's working from home. Yeah.
I like that. I like that idea.
That's the one. That's the main hack.
Yep. That's it.
Just jotting that down.
I'm jotting some notes down. I'm jotting notes down of the topics we said we were going to talk about.
Yeah, I have them here just to refresh your memory if you need them.
Heroes.
Yep.
Friends.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what they are. So there's three things that we said that we were going to try and talk about today, which include what makes somebody a hero.
Yeah.
Also, backup question: would you be a hero or a villain for the day?
Right.
If you had unlimited resources, how would you live your life? And finally, Friends. Was it a good show? Question mark.
That's the best part of the question. That's the best part of the question. Are you a Star Wars fan?
Yeah.
You strike me as someone that's a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah. Star Wars, Star Trek, Blade Runner, Terminator, Transformers.
Like on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate your Star Wars fandomness?
Like 10 out of 10.
10.
Well, right. I would say 10, but I don't dress as like I don't do cosplay or
okay.
So I will go to like a sci-fi expedition and listen to an orchestra play the John Williams music, and I'll happily look at other people in costume and enjoy their costumes, but I'm not doing cosplay.
Okay.
Maybe that makes me a 9.
I really like Star Wars, but I'm not so deep into it where I know all the nuances of like characters from the spin-off cartoon series, not cartoon, but like the animated like type of series and stuff like that. But the reason why I bring it up is I finally sat down and watched The Mandalorian, which I've been putting off. And part of why I was putting it off was because I really didn't care for the new movie series that came out, as opposed to obviously the original and even the ones from the early 2000s. So I was like, I don't have a ton of interest in this because I was really let down so much from the new series. I did really like Rogue One, but the new trilogy, I was really turned out. But I have to say, I was greatly impressed by the Mandalorian series.
Yeah, me too.
Really well done.
Yeah, I had the same experience as you because the the new three, was it 7, 8, 9?
7, 8, 9.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of I was in, like, when the Force Awakened,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay, it's kind of, I've seen this before, but yeah, let's go. Up until the point where Kylo Ren started taking his mask off, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about Adam Driver being a bad guy. Like, I think throughout the whole of that trilogy, it became apparent that he was probably one of the best characters, but I just, yeah, that trilogy just wasn't for me at all.
I'll tell you the low point. The low point, and I've polled some friends on this. The low point was really when Leia essentially uses the Force to come back to life, right? When really there was no. It's believable that she had the Force, right, because she was part of the family, the Skywalker family, but it was just really unbelievable for her to be able to, like, have it in that moment, wield it in that moment, to the point where she could essentially survive being, out in space and resurrect herself. Like that was the lowest point for me, where I'm like, this series is really shot right now.
Yeah, because there was nothing before that gave you any there was nothing that gave you any indication that she would have that level of ability.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it was like it came out of nowhere. Like, and she didn't even make it, or they didn't even make it look like it was a desperate moment. It looked like she was under control and she just kind of floated in, Yeah. That was
so Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
I like that there was the overarching plot line of him trying to get Grogu saved, right? And they did a nice job of them gradually building, like, his love for this little creature, this little baby, right? So I like the overarching plot, but then every single episode had its own little mini subplot to keep you, like, super engaged. And the episodes weren't that long, 30, 35, 38 minutes. So I just felt like the pacing was really, really tremendously, like, well thought out and well done, as opposed to, like, other shows where you watch and the character development takes, like, an entire season, and I'm like, dude, nothing even happened. Like Mad Men, I really like the show Mad Men, but the whole first season, I was like, dude, nothing happened. I tell people, Mad Men's a good show, but you have to, like, suffer through the entire first season because you're just, like, learning about the characters. It's like nothing happens in this show until, like, halfway through season 2. But Mandalorian, like, the pacing was awesome.
Yeah, and and there was, it wasn't like he was a complete character. He was a Mandalorian. He was a great warrior, but he was still learning along the way, and he was upgrading his armor as he went as well, and that was kind of cool to see. He was a complex character. He hated droids and stuff like that. It was so good. But then
they made you really like him, but I don't know how, because there wasn't, like, there was. He's not an emotional character, and usually
you can't, like, he
shows and movies, they use emotion to make you, like, have an affinity towards somebody. So I don't even know how they did it, but you were rooting for him. You wanted him to succeed.
He was a hero, though. Like, he was definitely a hero, and I feel like have you seen the Book of Boba Fett?
No, that's next on my list because I'm amped up for the Obi-Wan series. So my brother's like, you kind of got to watch it. He said it's nowhere near as good as Mandalorian, but that was his opinion.
Yeah, it's different. Like, it's different to Mandalorian. Like,
and they're still making it, right? Are they still in season 1, or did season 1 all come out?
Yeah, it's all out. Yeah, it's
all out. Season 1, right? Yeah. They just wrapped it up. Okay.
It is really good, but it's kind of the direction is, or not the direction, the editing of the show is slightly different. Whereas Mandalorian, it's like a serialized thing. You're going from episode to episode, and you can follow the chronology of everything quite easily. The Book of Boba Fett is a little bit more difficult because it kind of it flits from one time period to the next. So you kind of it's not that it's a struggle, it's just a bit of a pain in the butt, like, to watch it and then you think, oh right, okay, yeah, I'm in this time period, and then
you have to piece it together yourself, the chronology. Like what was that movie,
Like,
Memento. You ever see Memento?
yeah, or like Pulp Fiction or something like that, you know?
Yeah, where you have to like reorder it in your brain so you can follow along.
Yeah. But some of the characters in there,
in Boba Fett,
yeah, are really, really good. Like some of the I'm not going to say which ones. I'm just going to leave it.
Yeah, no spoilers.
No spoilers. But there's some really there's some really intimidating characters and some really very, very exciting like showpieces that you're gonna really enjoy.
So Boba Fett isn't likable. Like they brought him into the end of Mandalorian, like the second to last episode, right? And he helped them because of him returning the armor, right? But he's not likable. He's a villain, and he was a villain in Return of the Jedi. So did they keep that? Like, did they try to make you like him, or is he still a villain?
Well, he's definitely still a villain, but he does have like a code of honor. So even though you probably don't want to, you probably do like him by the end.
Okay.
But he's still an a-hole. Like, you know, like why is Boba Fett so famous anyway? Like, just because he was a badass bad guy, like Darth Vader.
Right. But he had such a little part too. I think people were just like really fascinated with his armor and the way that, you know, they portrayed him. So fun little trivia fact, little tidbit here. So the person that designed the original costume, like his armor, the way that it looks in Return of the Jedi, was Joe Johnson, who did Jumanji. He was really big into special effects. He was like a special effects master before he got his break into like directorial roles. And he was the one who did the original Boba Fett armor, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's awesome. And so do you think like, I wonder if in Jumanji there's any little like hidden nods to
Boba Fett. Would that be cool if we were the ones that found it?
Yeah, we're gonna have to go back and watch that and see, like, because like in is it Raiders of the Lost Ark or one of the Indiana Jones films? There's a like an R2D2 hieroglyph.
Where is it? Where is it?
Is it on the Ark? Is it on the Ark of the?
Is it on the Ark?
I think so. Is it on the outside of the Ark? It could be.
Yeah, I remember reading that somewhere. I've never spotted it though.
Yeah. Yeah. So
we're gonna have to look for an Easter egg. We're gonna have to look for a Mandalorian Easter egg in Jumanji.
You're gonna have to come back like after you watch the Book of Boba Fett, and then we can talk about it in more detail. Yeah. Mandalorian was so good. Like all the characters were great, and I found that all of the episodes, I think there's 2 episodes directed by Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah,
they were amazing. Like
once I started to see that they were changing the directors, I started to look it up on IMDb to see like who directed each one. But she did do a couple of them. Yeah,
so she did. You know, the one with the walker, and it was like going against the village of sort of tribal people.
Yeah.
Really intense one where it's like he's coming towards them. She did that one, and then she did another really awesome one in the second season.
My favorite episode was the first episode with who's the comedian in real life. He's not. He has some punchlines. The bald dude.
Yeah. What's he called? Bill Burr.
Bill Burr.
Yeah.
The first episode with him when Mandalorian has to take the group of criminals in to rescue the brother of that one lady criminal. That was my favorite episode. That one was intense. The characters of all the bad guys, like all basically wanting Mandalorian dead. That was a really intense episode. I love that one.
Yeah, all betraying him, and
right. And then at the end when he's just knocking him off, dude. That was a good episode. I wonder if she did that one. I did try to look up who directed each one.
Yeah.
So Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
So it's his whole baby. Like
he should just do all Star Wars, like for sure.
It was that well done. And I don't know how he even got into this because he did like comedies and he was acting in comedies and he slowly got into, I think, He directed Alf. I think that was
Yeah,
one
well,
of his like biggest.
before that there was Swingers, which was in the 90s, and that was Favreau and Vince Vaughn,
Okay.
and some of the guys, and that was about a group of lads, some of them who wanted to be actors, and they went out to Vegas to try and win some money, and it was just following their life over a period of about 6 months in LA. And Favreau's character was heartbroken. He was trying to get over his girlfriend, and he was depressed, and he was bringing his friends down. And it was all about Vince Vaughn, like trying to bring him out of this funk and like trying to help him get laid and stuff. And he wasn't having any of it. And actually, Heather Graham was in it as well. And
was that Favreau's first like big break?
I think that was Favreau's first like written and directed feature. Yeah.
Okay. But even still, like all throughout, let's call that late 90s, and then throughout the early and mid 2000s, he was still only doing largely comedies. I think that's why when I saw his name attached to Star Wars,
he was in Friends, wasn't he, as well?
He did have that he was like a minor character. Yeah. We're bringing this all full circle.
Yeah. he basically played like a Bill Gates, didn't he? That was
yes, that Monica dated. He was like rich beyond wildly.
She screwed up. Like she went for Chandler. She could have been
they went to Paris and then came back like in the same day or something like that, right? For just dinner.
And he wanted to be a UFC champion, and that's why she
had a really bad temper, right, or something like that. Yes, I forgot about his character in that. But yeah, I was surprised that he was attached to Star Wars, and then as the like series is going on, because he didn't do any of the movies, right? He wasn't attached to any.
No, he didn't do the movies, but he did Iron Man 1 and 2. So he had done these high special effects.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Even still, I saw his name and I was like, oh, that kind of surprised me. And then as the series kept going on, I was like, dude, Favreau must be a huge Star Wars junkie, and obviously he clearly knows what he's doing from like a storytelling standpoint.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Like I've read things online, which that's like that's so like
bad news.
there's nothing concrete. I probably read this on Twitter, but I think you hear things online about rebooting 7, 8, and 9 or redoing them, and you hear that like Favreau and Lucas have gotten together and they're like, right, let's do this properly now. This time we let Disney have that go. We're gonna come back and do it. It would be interesting. Maybe they could maybe they could play off the ones that we watched as like an alternate reality, like another dimension of Star Wars,
or just like completely redo them.
And just forget them. Just sorry, guys.
They have 3 versions of Spider-Man at this point, so why can't Star Wars do it?
Have you seen the latest Spider-Man?
I didn't see it yet. No.
Oh no. No. Yeah, you need to. What about Batman?
No, I didn't see that either.
You've been working too much. You're working too hard.
I know. I have been. I want to see the Spider-Man one though, because they got all 3 of the characters together, right? I saw like the memes for it, and I'm like, what are these memes about? And then I looked it up on IMDb, and I'm like, how did they get all 3 of them? Not actually like get the actors, like you just pay them money and they're gonna sign up for it. How did they write the storyline to have all 3 intersect? And I don't want to know how they do it until I see it. Yeah. So don't tell me how they end up like working the story to get them all 3 together. But
my lips are sealed.
I think that's pretty cool.
I'm very good at not spoiling films for people. So yeah, you're not gonna get anything out of me. I'm not gonna tell you.
Let's see what else has been going on from a cinema standpoint.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I recently went to go and see that with
Did you really?
My daughter. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, she liked it as well. Yeah, and wow, like, have you seen the first one?
I saw a little bit of it. My kids like the first one, but I'm like, the ratings for this really
the first one, I would class it as like it's a good film. Like, it's all right, it's watchable. You can rewatch it. It's enjoyable. But wow, the second one like really amps it up, and Jim Carrey is just like a madman, like the way he used to be. Like back in the Mask days.
He's like the original. He's OG Jim Carrey.
He is like OG Jim Carrey on like, I don't know, on amphetamines or something. He's like taking it. He's like on steroids. Jim Carrey. It's like Jim Carrey from The Mask. Looks like he just had some like nighttime Horlicks or something, you know, like before bed. This this version of Jim Carrey is like, woo, next
I haven't
level.
seen him in a lot of things lately. That he's been working on his character development for Sonic. That's why.
That must be it. Must be. All of his energy's gone into this.
The only thing I've seen of him recently is he commented about the Will Smith Chris Rock slap.
Yeah.
They interviewed him and he was talking about that.
He wasn't happy about that.
No, he wasn't. I don't think any of the comedians were, right? Because they could see themselves being in the shoes of, do I need to now watch out what I'm saying whenever I am on stage?
Yeah.
And am I going to be threatened with assault if I do I have to be, you know, tiptoeing around who's in the audience and what I can say about who's in the audience? So I think the comedians like really did band together and they're like, we don't approve of this.
Yeah, I don't approve either. Like I once I took this I once dated this lady a few years ago called Mel, and she was a beautiful woman, and she was,
is this a joke or is this a real story?
No, it's a real story, right?
Okay.
So she was a teacher, and so I take her to a comedy club, to the Comedy Store in Manchester, and we go and watch the show, and they have like 3 or 4 comedians on you know.
Is this a famous comedian comedy shop?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, it was kind of like a hole in the wall, like little hidden gem.
Yeah. So, well, the Comedy Store is like a famous like worldwide brand that started over in America, and it's come over here. But so the comedians, I think some of them were slightly well known here, but they're mostly like locals. So this one comedian, he starts making jokes about teachers, and you know, saying how they get all these holidays and don't actually do any work. And she's getting really irate. She's next to me and she's like huffing and puffing, and I'm like, this is like our first date or something.
No, it wasn't really.
Yeah, she's getting really, really wound up, and I'm like, what? Just calm down. It's all right. Like he's joking. You know he's joking, right? And she's getting really wound up. And then at the end of the show, like, so he's not even the final comedian. Yeah. So she's seething about it, you know, all evening. And then we go out for there's like an intermission. She sees him at the bar, and she walks right up to him, and she starts giving him like, how dare you? No, I'm a teacher. We work really, really hard. And I was like, whoa, Mel, just like calm down a little bit. Just like, he's a comedian. That's his job. Like it's a joke. And yeah, I was like, huh.
What did the comedian say? Like, how did he react?
He said the same thing. He was just like, it's a joke. It was a joke. Like, I'm a comedian. And I was just like,
really all you can say. I mean, they must have pretty thick skin just in general with one having to do what they do. And I can't imagine like being a stand-up comedian where people don't laugh at your jokes. That's gotta be like the most awkward, uncomfortable, like difficult thing to do. So props to comedians for just stand-up comedy in general, because that's a tough gig. But they definitely must know that some people don't have thick skin.
It must be rare. Like, it must be rare for that to happen. And I think that Will Smith is like, that instance is a huge oddity. Like, is an odd exception that somebody would actually assault a comedian.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
We've all seen the clip like a million times. And I just cannot wrap my head around like him actually bringing himself. There's 10 million people watching you.
Yeah.
And he brings himself to go up on stage and do that. He must have known his career was going to take and reputation was just going to take a major hit. Like, how do you consciously say, I'm going to go up and slap this other respected?
Like, what was he thinking? Like, you know, with every step that he took as he went towards him.
Yeah, like I'm committing to it. Like
he could have done anything. Like it almost, when I've watched it, I've said to people, like, everybody goes, oh no, it was staged. And I say, look, like there's a split second there where Smith like hesitates before he hits him, and you know, there is this slight hesitation. Next time you watch it, you'll see.
just one last second guess. Should I do this? Should I?
Yeah. And then he did it, and I was like, whoa. And it beggars belief, doesn't it? Like, you just think he could have gone up to Chris Rock and said anything, or give him a hug, or like pretend, you know, like one of those kind of things.
Right.
Yeah, like, oh, should I shake his fist at him or something? Like a real comedy.
Even the screaming when he got back to his seat was like, crazy.
Well,
like,
I think
Chris Rock is being a comedian.
Yeah, I think like everybody in the audience thought it was staged before he started screaming, and I think even Chris Rock thought that, like, he wasn't even really that kind of. He was kind of taken aback because he said, you know, he said what he said, like Will Smith just, you know, smacked the S out of him. And then it wasn't until Will started that screaming, and you just thought, whoa, and you could feel like the whole atmosphere in the room change as well. And people were like, oh man, this is actually serious.
Right.
Yeah, weird, very odd. It says a lot. I was going to say, it says a lot about Will Smith's psychology at that moment in time, doesn't it? That he obviously views himself as a bigger, better man than Chris Rock to go and do that. Like, he obviously sees himself as an alpha and Chris Rock as a beta male. That, like, how dare he say that about me? That then he would go up and then smack him like that. There's a lot of disrespect in that, I think.
Yeah. I don't think anyone can or will fully understand it. Maybe Will Smith's psychologist, but it's still, I'm still having a hard time like understanding like how it actually took place and how he was that offended over, you know, that the hosts of these shows are trying to make people laugh, joke around, pick on people in the audience. Like, it seems so crazy to me that he would take a joke and take it to that level. When did he ever see Ricky Gervais's the Emmys one from 2 years ago? Like, that was
the next thing I was going to say. Like, would he have slapped Ricky Gervais? Like,
he had to have known that this is what people do. He's probably been to more of these award shows than anyone in that audience. Maybe not anyone. There's some older seasoned veterans in the space, but probably more than most people in that audience. He's probably been to more shows then, where he knows that this is the norm.
It's very odd, isn't it? Like,
really odd.
You wouldn't. It's kind of like, it's almost out of character, isn't it, from what you would expect from Will Smith?
That's why I was also thinking it was staged for the longest time, until I kept watching. Then the reports came out that, you know, he LAPD was outside waiting in case Chris Rock pressed charges, and then he stepped down from the academy. And I'm like, dude, it couldn't have been staged at this point, you know?
Yeah. There's a lawyer on YouTube. I don't know if he's called Legal or something like that. There's like this real lawyer, and he talked about the case recently, and he said, just because Chris Rock hasn't pressed charges doesn't mean that the DA won't. Like, somebody can press charges because an assault definitely did happen. Like, all it would take is that somebody in the audience made a statement to say, yes, that actually happened, and they verify it, and then there would be a case against Will Smith from the state rather than from the individual.
So is it normally the person presses charges because he or she is typically the only witness if it's a fight or if it's an assault? Is that why you usually wait for the person to press charges?
I think it's because they are the main witness. Like, they're the victim, so they would be they're the person who's transgressed. So you would rely on their statement.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
To talk about like how they felt when that happened as well.
Yeah.
From their point of view.
What a crazy bad example too for LAPD not stepping in, for the academy for not excusing him and taking him out. Basically, like, everyone in the audience, everyone witnessing that home, just watched this happen, and he sits back down in his chair, like,
and also didn't go home afterwards. Like, went to an after party. There's pictures
and was partying his brains out.
Yeah. And I think that's what made people think that it must have been fake, because,
right,
again, that is unusual behavior, isn't it? Like, if you 1 minute you're slapping a guy on stage, then you're collecting an award and you cry because you feel embarrassed about what you did and because you feel regret for what happened, and then you just brush it off and you go and party anyway.
Yeah.
That's
Super odd.
He's going through a
Super.
bad time.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you
For
think
sure.
perhaps Jada's got some sort of weird control over him that we're not aware of as external people?
It almost seemed like it, right? With if you watch the clip, he's laughing, like genuinely laughing at the joke.
Yeah.
And then the next time you see him, he's stomping up on stage, right?
I don't think he got the joke straight away. I think that must be what it is. Because sometimes, like, if the focus is on you and you're in that situation, you just kind of go along with
Like,
yeah. And then it drops, and then you go,
okay, all right. I never really thought about it like that, but that's a fair point.
Yeah,
that's a fair point.
That's what I was thinking, that's what it was, that he's just kind of like, yeah, the cameras are on me now. And then yeah, and she really took offense about it, which, you know, she's entitled to do. It's a medical condition, and, you know, but it didn't take away from the fact that she looked good. It was just a joke, like.
And
it's difficult, isn't it?
it is, but where do you draw the line, right? This is like now something bigger. Now you get into like speech type of concepts and arguments, and it's like, are you really going to make comedians not be able to, you know, are you going to censor comedians based on what you feel he or she can and can't say? It's like, where's the line? And now it's like, is that line subjective? Well, I think teacher jokes are offensive. So now if I happen to be at the show, you can't tell teacher jokes now because I'm a teacher. Like you can't draw that line.
Yeah, you can't tell jokes about marketers.
And there's plenty of them to go around too.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I think, like, because I had this argument with myself, like I kind of thought it over, like all different angles, and one of the things that I wrote in a LinkedIn post was that, in one way, not that Will was right to lay his hand on him, but he was definitely right to defend his wife, because she would have probably behind closed doors been self-conscious a little bit about that, maybe. And, you know, even though that night is such a special night with all the eyes on you, and you put so much effort into your appearance, and that's like even more important for a lot of women than it is for guys, because it's like a lot more effort to, you know, there's more social pressure, I guess.
Sure.
And then when somebody comments on something that you have no control over and mocks you and takes you down a peg, that was like, I think that's where it's, you know, traditionally, like in the 40s or 50s, you would expect a guy to go and slap another guy for something like that, but it's 2022, so I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? Because you want to.
I saw some people, some critiques or criticisms were saying that the best way he could have handled it would have been to use his platform when he won the award to say something like, hey, Chris, you know, that wasn't a cool move. Shout out to my wife, you know, anyone that's battling against this illness, something like that, right? Use the platform. All eyes are on you. You make it positive. You still slam the dude who poked fun at your wife, and you kind of move on from it, and no legal issues involved.
Yeah, and then if he would have done that, he would have come out on top. He would have been a hero. Like same effect. His wife would have still, you know, loved him, and, you know, but everybody would be on her side and his side, rather than, you know, he'd still have a career basically, rather than now where you're hearing things about studios dropping him from this and that film because of that outburst, I guess.
He's a good example of getting back to the agenda of hero versus villain, right? So he's played some awesome roles. I've always been a huge fan of him. And I think so many other people have too, which is why this was like so. It wasn't like an actor that's already like a heel that people hated, where it was easy to hate on. Like, people really, really love and respect Will Smith. That's why I think it was such a shock and so difficult to deal with. But probably his most heroic role was Pursuit of Happiness,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, without a doubt.
And I think he should have got the best actor for that one. But if we're gonna define what a hero is, I think that one is a good example of a film, because that's not a superhero. It's not one that like it's not a classic typical hero movie, right?
Yeah.
It's thinking through like a true real definition of what a hero is. So the guy busts his butt off to try and make a better life for his kid. They're homeless.
Yeah.
And he will stop at nothing to land this interview at the brokerage firm, right? So I think a stock trading company. And he doesn't have a car, so he's got to use public transportation. He's traveling all across the city, you know, trying to be a salesman and earn a living.
They're like,
you know,
sleeping in a bathroom in a train station or something, or a bus station as well.
Yeah. And he stops at nothing to land the interview. And then once he gets the interview, once he gets the internship, he ends up being successful with that role. So he goes from being
incredibly successful in real life. That man,
right, because it's based on a true story. So I was just reading some fun facts about it the other day, and the real life character makes a cameo in the movie. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah,
The very last scene, right? So as they're walking down the San Francisco street, the real life guy walks by and kind of they both like make eye contact essentially, which I thought was a cool nod to him. But that's a great definition of a hero, right? I'm going to stop at nothing to take care of my family.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's something that every man should aspire to as well, and every woman. But like, it's much more easy to identify with it because it's a male character. And yeah, when you see how tenacious he is, and you just think the amount of stress that he carried like on his shoulders and rarely lost it, like managed to hold it all together, follow through on the plan. He had such like incredible self-belief, never gave up. Like that is incredibly admirable. And you know, the fortune that came afterwards was definitely well deserved. Definitely.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple things you can take out of it, like life lessons you can take out of it. Him creating a goals plural, I'm sure, and in working towards them, it just shows the importance of having a plan, whether it's, you know, as a hobby, in your profession, or just life in general. So that way you're everything that you're doing is trying to work towards these goals. Like he clearly had a plan and a vision in mind of what he was looking to accomplish.
Yeah,
and I think that it was a well done film. I love that film, and he played the character perfectly too.
Yeah, what the only Will Smith film that I think there's a couple that I don't like, and one of them is called 7 Pounds or something like that. Have you seen that?
I have. I did like it, but it's been a while since I've seen it. It came out right around the same time as Pursuit of Happiness. I think one was one season, and then 7 Pounds came out like right after.
It's kind of like, it's like a disturbing film, isn't it? But
he's got to give away his his body parts.
Yeah. Like again, that's another kind of hero, but it was like when I watched it, I was like, no, this is not for me.
No, I did like the storyline. I thought the plot was fascinating. I don't know how he was asked to play it, but he seemed like off and odd, and I couldn't put my finger on like what he was trying to accomplish with his personality, but maybe it was just because he knew he was going to die, and he was just like, maybe.
That's a funny one. I've only watched that
sullen.
once. The other film that I generally don't like, and I've tried many times, is Hancock.
I don't know if I've seen it, but I was just talking about it with family members because it's my nephew's favorite film of all time.
Oh, right.
So my mom always tries to connect with the grandkids. So she's like, "Oh, David, your favorite movie is Hancock. Let me watch it." Right. And my mom is like, not into these type of movies. She probably really liked Pursuit of Happiness, but certainly not something like Hancock. So she watched it and she was like, "Have you guys seen Hancock? Like, I thought it was awful, and it's David's favorite movie. Like, I don't see it. I don't understand why he likes it so much." So I don't think I've seen it. But yeah, that just happened like a couple of weeks ago. Actually, it was funny.
Yeah, it's like he's like an anti-hero. I don't know where that came from, but like Will, like he played him right because you're meant to dislike that character, but he's meant to sort of redeem himself by the end. But I don't think the redemption was never quite high enough. Like it was never. He just played it too unlikable. Like
I'll have to watch it at some point. I think I did see
yeah.
that it was on some streaming services. Is it like the end of the world? Like is it like the Armageddon?
No, it's just like he's a superhero, but he doesn't want to be one, and everybody hates him because whenever he tries to help somebody, he's always drunk, so he always ends up blowing stuff up and causing loads of collateral damage. So,
my mom would hate this movie. I cannot believe she watched this.
And whenever he goes around the streets or whatever, everybody's like spitting on him and going, "Hancock, you asshole!" Like, just So, and then there's like a PR guy played by that guy Bateman from the Ozarks. Jason Bateman, yeah. So Jason Bateman plays Jason Bateman in this film, and he's like, "Oh, Hancock, you've just got like an image problem. That's all it is. I'm going to help you, like, sort your image out, and we're, going to be your marketing guy." And he tries to rebrand him and turn him into a superhero, but he's hard work like throughout the film. He's got no redeeming features.
I gotta add it to my list. I gotta watch it. I gotta see what it's about. So favorite, least favorite, i.e. favorite villain. Who do you got? Like, who do you love to hate?
Who do I love to hate as far as villains goes?
Yeah.
Probably the Green Goblin, I think. Yeah. I don't know. It's like it's tricky, that one, because I could say Kingpin, from Daredevil, but I love that character and the actor, even though he's a really bad guy.
I'm trying to think of who mine might be. There's like polls out there, like AFI polls on like the top 100 villains of all time. Number one, I believe,
generally either Darth Vader.
It's Darth Vader
or Hannibal Lecter.
I think Darth Vader's one. And you know what's surprisingly really high on the list, like number 3, is quote unquote man from Bambi, because they don't give a character. They don't show the person, right? They just show the shot, I think.
Yeah.
I think. But Bambi's mom dies, So people hate man. They just call it man. And it's like number 3 of all time villains.
But we all become better people because of that event.
Man, I'm trying to think of
she's like the Jesus of the deer world. Like, without that sacrifice, we wouldn't have the cuteness that followed.
Yeah, they think that one's really sad. Let's see. The one dude from Raiders of the Lost Ark is got to be up there.
The Nazi guy with the glasses who gets the
who's not even on
super
top,
evil.
He plays his part. Yeah, he might be my number 1.
Pinhead from Hellraiser.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta, he's a good villain, but he's not one that you would ever go, like, oh, I like that character. It's kind of like, I hope that actually just never exists, like, ever.
Jaws. Bruce.
Yeah.
The shark.
Yeah. Jaws. Yeah. Sharks don't really bother me that much. Like I remember being tense as a kid watching Jaws, but yeah, it hasn't scarred me. No.
Really?
Yeah.
My mom still is like nervous to go in lakes that she can't see in the bottom, because she saw that as my dad and I were my dad and her were dating at the time. They went to go see that. She's never like really loved water and isn't a strong swimmer, but she will tell you, if I can't see the bottom of a lake, I'm still freaked out because of Jaws from 1976.
What about the kid Damien from The Omen?
Original or remake?
Original, gotta be. Yeah, I just watched it again recently because it's on Disney Plus. Can you believe it? The whole
is it really?
Yeah.
That is he's freaky, man.
Yeah.
He is freaky. I mean, if we go down the whole demonic route, I mean, Satan from The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Or just the demons that are possessing Reagan is That's powerful.
Mm. And obviously then you've got these characters that are really villains, but they've become such pop culture icons over the
It's hard to
past
like
few
view them as
decades.
yeah.
I'm
as
thinking
evil.
like Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, and Jason Voorhees.
Original Michael Myers is scary.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, even not the one that just came out, but the one before, that Halloween film when Jamie Lee came back after however many years. I thought that was a great film. Did you manage to watch that?
No, I haven't seen a lot of the remakes on the Halloween series, but I usually watch the original like every Halloween night.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, always Halloween or Bust Out, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
And you get to see Johnny Depp and very young Johnny Depp.
I think I've only seen Friday the 13th only probably once or twice, probably only once. That one I feel is the least popular of the three.
Yeah, definitely the original film. I think it wasn't even Jason Voorhees wasn't the killer in the first one. It was his mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's coming back to me a little bit. That's right. But they didn't have as many spin-offs with that series either. But it did become like a cult kind of classic.
There's at least 13 of them.
Is there really?
Yeah, because there's Jason X, which is number 10, and he's in space in the future.
Dude, no way, dude.
Yeah,
no way.
So he's like frozen at the bottom of the lake, and then it goes to like the year 3000 or something, and then they go down and they pick him out of the lake, or so something happens. He's cryogenically frozen anyway. I think that's how you think he's frozen and they shoot him off into space just to get rid of him.
Come on.
And then 1,000 years later, there's a ship going through space and it picks up the pod, and then he's defrosted, and then he wreaks havoc on this like Space Hulk. Yeah, Jason X. He's like rebuilt as well with like a regeneration pod, so he's like even more lethal than before. He's like a cyborg or something.
All right, how about original Alien? Original Predator.
Original Alien is phenomenal. Yeah, it's untouchable as far as like classics go.
Yeah.
And Predator is just all-time favorite.
Predator's a good villain. Predator's a very good villain.
Yeah, it's struggling a bit, isn't it? The Predator series. Did you see the latest one, Predators?
No, I don't think so.
No, like
I've seen a lot of the originals of all these things, but not a lot of the new ones.
not the later ones.
They just make me roll my eyes like, another one? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So I enjoyed AVP and AVP Requiem, there's some moments in that you're like, really? Who thought that was a good idea in the studio? Like they have this pred alien. It's like half predator, half alien, and the way that breathes is it's just gross, man. It finds pregnant women or newborn babies and lays its eggs in those. Like, who in their right mind thought, oh yeah, I know what would be a great idea.
They're sitting around a table in the studio and saying, somebody says it and they're like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's write that one in.
Like, that's not gonna annoy anyone. Idiots. You killed the series for a little bit when you did
Unbelievable. Sometimes, especially in sci-fi and killer movies, they always have like the most outlandish, like crazy ideas. It's always those writers.
They could have done anything. Like, why do that? Like, anyway. Predators is kind of like, it was all right when I watched it at the cinema, but then I rewatched it and I was like, it's not that good, because you have like predators and then you have super predators, which are like even bigger and like twice the size, and they hunt predators, so they don't even bother hunting humans. They're like more like they're like another clan of predators they're always upgrading, always improving themselves, so they're like ginormous super predators.
In I think they lean so much on special effects that they lean less on the plot and the storyline.
Yeah.
What do you teach?
Computer science. Yeah.
Do you do anything with like animation and special effects?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we do animation. Yeah.
Because I think I saw one of your classes when I was on your site. But like going back to the topic at hand, I think that some of these movies are just like so over the top of the CGI that it takes away from the substance of the movie. And that's why like I rewatched some of these like classic sci-fi films, and it's like it doesn't bother me at all that the special effects are I accept it for what it is. It's 1972. I don't need for these special effects to necessarily be believable because I've like I've accepted that, and I'm like having an appreciation for one, the storyline, and two, what the special effects artists could do at the time with the technology that they had. And to me, that's I love that. I love that. And like Jason and the Argonauts, like when was that made? The 60s, I think.
60s, yeah.
And it's like still applauded for what he was able to do at the time.
Ray Harryhausen.
I don't even know how he pulled off the scenes with like the fighting skeletons. Like I don't even know how, with what they had available to them at that time, like that's genius. Like that's creative genius.
Yeah. It is incredible the way that they would do that, and the amount of time that probably went into that, because it's all stop motion with like little plasticine figures. And just phenomenal. And like although that technique can look quite dated, but you can still appreciate it. Like when you look at something like the Thing. Do you remember The Thing with Kurt Russell?
I just watched it about a month or two ago.
Oh man, like that is still scary, because like if that was a CGI, whatever it was, it's just your brain knows, and it's like yeah, okay, and you go along for it with the ride. But because it's actually real and it has weight and gravity, and like they're reacting to it, you're like, oh no, it was like, it's so gross
when it comes out of the dude's chest. That scene is like such classic sci-fi / horror. Like that is so crazy.
Like, how did they do the thing when the guy's head falls off and it's upside down, and then these like legs come out of it, and then it starts like crawling around? Like,
that movie's so good. I mean, the suspense, the music, just where it takes place, and you feel remote. Like you feel that no one is coming to save them and you, if you put yourself in the movie, which you should. Like that's how you feel. Like,
and then the way they end it as well, you're just like, okay. Oh man, I wonder if they're still out there.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really, really good film. Really good film.
I love that one. So so what makes somebody a hero?
I think ethics, morals, drive, motivation, courage. I think a love for people, a love for family. I think positive characteristics, and if those positive characteristics can be emoted from the character and to the point where they're believable, I think that's really what, if we're talking in the sense of a movie, then I think that's what makes them a hero. In real life, they obviously just need to, commit to those positive characteristics.
So like, would you class, what's that guy Griswold called, Chevy Chase's character from the Vacation films?
He does have love for his family.
Yeah, he does have that.
He wants his family to enjoy Christmas or vacation, whatever one you're referencing. So I don't know. That one's tough. He's certainly not a villain. He certainly isn't evil. Yeah. He's well intentioned with really everything that he does. Most things that he does.
Yeah, he's kind of like, he's neutral. Have you ever seen these grids that have like personality breakdowns where you would have like neutral good, neutral bad?
I probably have seen them before, but not in the context of like character.
Yeah, and then like you would have like lawful good, unlawful good. So like Dirty Harry's like unlawful good because he's willing to push the boundaries of the law to get the result. Batman's like lawful good, and then you would have like neutral good would be, whoever it might be, or like chaotic good might even be chaotic good might be like Venom, where
like you're bad but you still carry out good deeds, like whatever your motivation is for doing so.
I think like, do you know any heroes in your life or people who you would class as heroes?
in real life?
Yeah. Or have you met any?
You.
Me.
My hero. I'd have to give it thought. I think I have high standards. Like I'm not impressed easily
Yeah.
with people.
Really?
I think so. Not to the point like, wow, that person like does a good job with this, does a good job with that. I think I'm not impressed easily with like, I want to emulate that person.
Yeah.
I think that's tough for me to get behind. I can certainly be like, this person does a really good job at basketball, so I'm going to want to try to be a better athlete because I look up to this person. But I think like life in general, to where I would put them on a pedestal of being heroic, I think that's tough for somebody to get there in my eyes.
So what about like Arnold Schwarzenegger? Would you like Schwarzenegger like I'll just
like in
I'll
real
just
life
say-
or like a character like the
Well,
Terminator?
okay, so I'm just gonna lay it out there that Arnold Schwarzenegger has been my hero like for as long as I can remember, as long as I've been alive.
All right, go on.
And so it started with the movies, and then it was the fact for me he was an actor first and then a bodybuilder. Like I kind of caught on in that way. I just thought, you know, I didn't realize that he was like Mr. Universe until much later. And then I started realizing and looking at that, like Pumping Iron and all the things that he did. And then I read his biography, Total Recall, and, you know, learned about like his struggle and his kind of life growing up and his family and stuff, and then moving to America and trying to, you know, do all that, and how he built his sort of finances and reputation and then becoming governor and stuff. And then obviously he's fallible, like he's made some errors, you know, in his own personal life, but then that's led to the creation of his son. Is it Joseph? I think Schwarzenegger. So I still think, even though, you know, even though he's sometimes controversial, like I still class Schwarzenegger as like the biggest hero, and yeah, go on. I don't know how you think about that.
Well, no, I have appreciated his movies. I don't think I know enough about him to say one way or the other. Like you're out of your mind, or yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds fair. But the point that I was going to make is I don't think that heroes can or will ever be without fault. So I think that that's perfectly fine and normal. We're all humans. We're all, you know, prone to sin. So I think that finding someone that is faultless is impossible. And if that's your standard for finding a hero, then you'll never find it.
Yeah. Unless of course it's Jesus. But then even Jesus flipped tables, you know? So don't ever forget that.
I tell my kids it's okay to get upset, because even Jesus got upset. You just got to make sure that you know, really get out of control.
He didn't slap anybody, but he did flip some tables.
He did flip tables. I do like that parable, or that story.
Yeah, but also again, that also stands out as being out of character, doesn't it? Like for the way that Jesus is portrayed all the way through the New Testament, and then you have that one section, and you just think that's like he was having a bad day that day, or something's not quite right. Like
which we all have our moments where we step out of character sometimes. And maybe we'll look back on the situation from Will Smith 10 years from now and be like, he clearly was going through something. He must have had a bad day. Maybe, you know, the marital problems that he obviously that became very public really boiled over that day or that season or whatnot. And this will definitely, maybe there'll be forgiveness from the public or the masses, you know, at some point, but people definitely find themselves acting out of character from time to time.
Yeah, it does happen to all of us at some stage. Yeah, without a doubt. So, yeah, I think what makes somebody a hero is, I don't know, like, do you think it's something that's always inside, or is it something that is like a gun, like ready to go off? There's like, you're initially always, your default is good, and when something happens, you're there and you're ready in that moment to help somebody, or to step in, or to push a kid out of the way of a car, or to take a bullet for someone, or is it more sort of gradual, and it's like you continuously do charitable works, like maybe you help your neighbor with the shopping, and maybe you know pick up some litter that you find on the floor even though it's not yours, like maybe that's the kind of thing that makes a hero, like a small hero.
No, I love that way of thinking. I'm a big fan of like small everyday good deeds, and positively affecting a stranger that you don't know, that doesn't know you, that that person will never be able to thank you, right? But you had a positive impact on that person's life. Like big fan of that type of thinking. So your statement of do those small everyday deeds make for a hero? I think they do.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's like a bullet ready to go off for like a bullet coming out of a gun. I think it's that person constantly committing to conscious decisions. I'm going to do this good deed. I'm going to do this good act. I think over time, the more good deeds that you do, it becomes more natural and more, instinctual. But it definitely starts with like commitment. I'm going to do this act now.
Yeah. I think we should start, like, I mean, I'm sure that you already do, and I know that I already do little things, and like sometimes I do something that's like I think, wow, that was like I did the really good thing, and I never tell anybody about it because I don't
cool.
like I don't want to jinx it. Like I don't want to be that guy who like goes and does something and then goes on social media and says, look what I did.
It's like I helped this homeless person say, you're right. I think it takes away from the deed itself.
Yeah. So I kind of like keep it private, and I just like sometimes I don't even tell my wife. Like that's how, I just don't tell anybody, and
That's cool.
I just do it. So I'm going to continue to do those things.
Yeah.
And I encourage other people to do it as well, because it feels good.
And there's nothing wrong with a good act making you feel good. That's natural and normal, I think.
Yeah.
I think. So there's nothing wrong with enjoying that response.
That's one of the episodes in Friends, where Phoebe has that argument with Joey.
If you only do good deeds for that feeling, right?
Yeah. So yeah, why do you do good deeds? Is it unselfish because you're doing a good deed, or is it selfish because you do a good deed because you want to feel good? Like something that goes through my mind is that I'm quite, because I was raised Catholic, I'm kind of like, I want to do stuff that's good, and obviously I want to do stuff that's good that's going to attribute to me getting into heaven, but then I don't want like God to think that I'm doing it just because I want to get into heaven, but that is the reason. But like, do you know what I mean?
So yeah, I'm Catholic too. We've had a couple of conversations on LinkedIn about this, but I'm trying to think of how to put this. Does it matter if you're still carrying out the good act? Do your motivations matter? I don't know.
It depends whether everything's predetermined or not.
Now we're going real deep. So if I want to help the homeless guy down the street,
yeah,
and I know it's going to make me feel better because I'm doing a good act, it's going to help me get into heaven. Is it wrong to do that deed because of the way that I know and hope that I'll feel after? You're still doing the good deed.
Yeah. It's an odd one, isn't it?
It's an odd dilemma. It really is.
What I like, it's a hard question to kind of think over, because if it is wrong for you to do it because you want to do it to get into heaven, then that's going to stop you from doing it, which is it's the opposite of what you would hope.
And your ultimate goal is to get into heaven. So why would that be a deterrent? Why would that be a bad thing for that to be your outlook?
So have you ever played Assassin's Creed?
No.
Okay. So definitely in the later Assassin's Creed games. I'm not sure about the early ones, but you have a distraction technique where you can throw coins on the street, and the poor people who are around there, they'll like scramble for them. And so like the guards, if they're coming after you, they'll like trip over. However, you can do that at any point. So you can throw like a few coins on the floor, and it gives you, you know, like 1-up karma, like good karma for you, like because you're helping people out. Or like somebody will come up to you and they'll say, "Oh, sir, please, can you help me?" Like,
You're right.
And you know, I think it's in Red Dead Redemption as well. Like people sometimes will come up and ask you for money, and you can give them a few dollars, and then your karma goes up. So I kind of, the way I go about it now is and the reason I don't tell anybody as well is I do the thing, whatever it is, and then I just think, right, there you go, karma's
Yeah, your coin. Yeah, it's filling up. It's filling up your tank. So I like that analogy, and I think that it makes it a little bit more clear. If you are doing it specifically, so you're shouting to the masses, so people are like, "Great job, Paul! You're such a good person." We can all agree that that's bad. That's the wrong reason for
There's
doing
a lot of people like that on YouTube.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think if you're doing it to make yourself feel good, even if it's like, I'm going to do this good deed because I know it's right, I know it's the right thing to do, and I'll feel good after. I don't think that that's wrong. I think that that's a natural response. And as long as you're not like, you know, touting how great of a person you are to others, I think if that's still kept to yourself, I don't think that that's a bad way of looking at it. I think it's a natural way of looking at it.
I think one of the newest heroes that I've found recently has been Mr. Beast. Do you know Mr. Beast?
No, you know all these characters.
Okay, so he's this like young guy. He's like in his 20s, and he's the biggest YouTuber out there, and he's multi-millionaire.
I just read about him not long ago because I saw how much money he makes, and I'm like, who is this dude? I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah. So that guy, he's called Jimmy, and so a lot of all of the work that he does and all of the money that he makes, he reinvests back into his videos. And he also
said he's the #1 philanthropist or something like that. Like, like in the United States or something like that.
Yeah, probably even the world. Like every single bit of money that he gets, he's given away to people, or buying like 10,000 turkeys, or planting like 100,000 trees, or, you know, like doing all sorts of things like that. And I just think that guy, that kid, he's like, you know, somebody that I could look up to. And, you know, the fact that he's younger than me, that makes me feel like, yeah,
I think that that's a little different, right? Because he's not necessary. So his is like cyclical, right? I'm going to do this stuff and publicize it so more people give me stuff so I can do more with it. So
exactly.
That one's a little different. I think there's a little caveat there because that's part of his fundraising effort, essentially.
Yeah, definitely. I think, he's definitely different to those other guys who like go up to some random homeless person and say, videotape it and say, "Oh, hey bro, I was wondering if you can lend me like $2 so I can get the bus." And then this homeless guy is like reading through his pocket, you know, because he's knows what it's like to not have any money, and then gives him $2, and then he goes, "Oh no, here's $500." Like, and does it that way. It doesn't feel the same as the way when Mr. Beast does it. Yeah,
no, not at all.
He helps his community as well, so that's tricky.
All right, we gotta hit the friends question before we wrap up.
Okay, so I mean, how long have you got left?
I probably got. I have a few minutes left. I gotta jump in another meeting relatively soon.
Okay, so super quick.
10:30, but I gotta prep for it.
Would you be a hero or a villain for the day?
Hero.
Yeah.
Hero.
Okay. Yeah. me too. Although, if there was no consequences, would you be a hero or a villain for the day?
No, that's tough. That's tough. I'd still be a hero. I think so. We as humans kind of have like this innate draw to be bad, right? We're like, it's easier to be bad than to be good. Agree?
If you can get away with it, yeah.
So I think if there were no consequences, and even that I think I would want to be good, just because it's kind of like the underdog. Like it's harder to. I like a challenge. I think it's harder to be good than to be bad. So even if there was no consequences, I would still choose good just because of that.
Yeah, I think that's the case with Superman as well, because essentially there is no consequences for him, and he still remains good. So
Right, right.
okay, if you had unlimited resources, how would you live your life?
Unlimited resources. This is what I would do for a job. Well, first of all, I'd probably live in like, I'd probably live a bit more remote, you know, maybe like in a cabin and not too far away from like people, just in case I needed to, you know, go into town to get like food and maybe go to the movies or go to a show. But I definitely like live out in the outskirts a little bit more remote, and you know, that's what I do. But from a profession standpoint, I've always been fascinated with people who put soundtracks together for movies. Not necessarily the score writers, because those are like composers, like movies that actually have like real songs, and how they select like the perfect song to go with a scene. I want to be that person.
Okay, yeah. So you'd be the guy who puts together Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yes, yes.
Nice. Okay.
What would you do?
I think I would probably have a house somewhere out in the sticks, just like you.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would spend a lot of time there. I think I would just have I would go from hotel to hotel, and I would just, you know, say what, you know, work my way around the world and just eat all the food, meet as many people as I could, and make friends all along the way.
Right, because money's no option, so you might as well just like do as much traveling. Yeah, I definitely add traveling to my list too.
Yeah, I think that's what I do, and just take pictures everywhere.
Yes.
And
yes,
yeah, I do that, and just interview people all around the world. That's what I do.
I like that.
The final question. Now this is tricky. Friends, was it a good show?
I've been through. I've gone through Friends from start to finish. I think probably twice, and have seen, you know, random episodes just like everyone else a million times. Like
only twice.
Only twice, like sequentially in order, sat down and committed and said, I'm going to watch this from start to finish. So I've done that twice, and then random episodes, all, you know, reruns, Netflix when you're bored, whatever. It's funny. I'll definitely give it that. Like, a lot of times you either are a Seinfeld fan or a Friends fan. Friends fans don't think that Seinfeld is funny. Seinfeld friends a lot of times don't think that Friends is funny. I think Friends is very fun. I think Ross is the funniest of all the characters. I think his sense of humor is probably more in line with me and my personality. Most people kind of relate to the person that is most like them. And I think I'm most like Ross. Is it a good show? I think it's a good show. I think it's a good show. I think that there's enough characters to make it relatable. I think there's enough storylines going on that keeps it entertaining. I think that there's jokes that still are funny to this day. I think I'm going to go with yes, it's a good show. Yeah,
I think so. I think it was a good show, and I think it is a good show. And actually, I like Seinfeld as well. So maybe I'm an oddity, but I didn't like Seinfeld the first time I watched it. It took me a while to get into it, but now I've got it on a loop. Like, I've got it on repeat, and I just love
the a different type of humor. It's a different type of humor.
Yeah, slightly different. And then again, another completely different show is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And
I've only seen a handful of episodes. My brother was a huge fan back in the day. He's like, you got to watch it. I've probably seen the first season, but I don't think I had the access.
The first season's okay, but from the second season onwards, it's much better because Danny DeVito's in every episode.
Yes, and he's funny. But the first season, that was kind of like, there was a lot of shock humor in the first season. Like, we're just going to do it up
episode one. Even in episode one,
it's hilarious.
Because the guy goes, D walks in, and then this African American guy walks in after her, and they go, whoa, we don't want any trouble. And he goes, oh no, I'm with her. And he goes, what, you weren't expecting me? And they go, no, we weren't expecting you to be black. And like stuff like that. And then
you were in it, is off the wall.
Hectic humor, and you know, they get away with it. It's almost like the South Park of sitcoms.
Yeah, right. And it was on pretty late when it came out. FX, FX or comedy, FX, and it was pretty late. So I think they technically could get away with anything they wanted.
Yeah, I love that. But yeah, Friends is great. But the more I watch Seinfeld, the more I realized that Friends ripped off so many of Seinfeld's jokes.
Really? It was only a few years before it, right?
Yeah. I think the end of Seinfeld was sort of like the early days of Friends as well. I think there was a little bit of crossover.
I should commit to watching it at some point.
Yeah, it is great.
It takes a while though. They got a lot of seasons.
Seinfeld.
Yeah, how many seasons? They have?
How many seasons? 9.
Nine. And it was broadcast at the time, so that's 25 episodes.
Well, season 1 and 2 is almost the same season. So like they got cancelled like partway through and then got brought back. So they count it as 2 different seasons, but I think it's like 20 episodes for season 1 and 2 combined.
Okay.
So technically it's what you would call 8 seasons, but yeah.
Still 200 episodes though.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah, that's
and then do you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm?
No.
Oh, dude, you've got to get on that. That's so good. So
there's so many on my list. Like I just like chip away at things like slowly but surely. I'm not a big binge watcher.
Curbed is really, really good because it's Larry David, who co-creator of Seinfeld with Jerry Seinfeld. And so there's a lot of references. I think it was Curb that got me into Seinfeld because I enjoyed that more first, and then I went back and I thought, okay, I'm going to watch that. And when you have them both together and they reference each other, and then some of the characters from Seinfeld pop up in Curb Your Enthusiasm, it's a dream come true for like that kind of humor.
And that was a Netflix exclusive, like a while back.
Curb Your Enthusiasm's like HBO.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you sometimes it's on. We have like Sky over here. I don't know if you have Sky TV in America.
I usually just download stuff and do a lot like the streaming.
Cool. So yeah, we did it. That was it. We did 3 questions. We covered a lot of ground.
We covered a lot of ground. We kept bringing it back. We kept inserting the questions back into it.
So what have you got to do now?
I got some meetings to take today. Planning for a couple webinars, so got to write an article. I keep busy.
And how's everything going?
Good. It's good. Yeah, this year is a lot healthier than the COVID years, is what I'll call it. People are bouncing back. They're going to trade shows. They're opening up their purse strings. They're investing dollars into marketing and advertising again. There's lots of new technology that's in software that's popping up. That's pretty fascinating stuff. So having really good conversations. That's
good. And for anybody who watch this, and how can they not fall in love with you? How can they get in touch with you for your marketing services?
I'm super active on LinkedIn. So find me on LinkedIn, Thomas J Armitage. I'll be the first one that pops up. Our agency does digital marketing. We build websites, search engine optimization, advertising, lead intelligence, reporting, analytics, everything that kind of falls into the scope of digital marketing today. So give me a shout and I'll give you a hand.
Beautiful. Excellent. Well, Thomas, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for coming back. You got to come back again after you watch Spider-Man and the Book of Boba Fett.
I got to get a couple more movies on my belt. Yeah.
You got to do it.
Oh, enjoy the day.
You too, man. All right. I love it. Cheers. See you later. Bye.
Bye.